This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story?
Honey? Home.
Our guest today is a legendary director. He's also a writer, photographer, an author, and a painter. Join us as he chats about directing Sean Penn to his Oscar-winning performance in Milk, shooting Good Will Hunting, and his new movie based on a crazy true story, Dead Man's Wire. Our guest today is writer-director Gus Van Sant.
I'd love to ask, if I may, my podcast is usually about how someone's career begins. And, you've had an incredible career, written some amazing films, directed some amazing films. Where did it all begin? Like, what was your first love? Was it writing? Was it directing?
It was painting. I was originally painting in school when I was younger. And then when I went to college, I decided to major in film because a major in painting might not be useful. And as I know now, like, your major doesn't necessarily matter, that people aren't going, you don't have to have your diploma for a job interview. But I majored in film, and I started working in film as I was still painting a little bit. And the thing that became clear in the 70s and 80s when I was learning this craft, I worked for an independent filmmaker who had a massive hit with this film called The Groove Tube that he had made on his own with money that he had, as a child actor. He had saved up money to pay for this movie, and he had a storefront comedy theater in New York with some other friends. One of his friends was Chevy Chase, and some of the friends of his went to do Saturday Night Live. And he had already made The Groove Tube, so he was kind of already like a big deal. So he didn't go working on Saturday Night Live, although he probably should have. But he was at Paramount, and he had movie deals at Paramount. But he originally had done this thing on his own, and other people that I kind of was following, like John Waters, made Pink Flamingos all on his own, and John Sayles had made the Secaucus 7, which was sort of a breakout independent film, completely independently on his own, that he found a distributor. So people were doing it, making films on their own, and then trying to get into festivals and so forth. So I did it with Mala Noche, which was my first film, which played in England for months and months and months. But just following in the footsteps of other people that had done that. And then that movie didn't do as well as, say, John Waters' film or my boss's Ken Shapiro's film. But it did get me to the next project.
And when it comes to writing and sitting down, putting pen to paper, that's a huge discipline. Same, I guess, as painting or anything along those lines, where you have to dedicate yourself to something for an amount of time to get good at it. Writing something like Drugstore Cowboy, which was obviously the next one after that. Do you take influence from things that happen in your life? Is it usually based on something that you've kind of grown up with? How do you draw your inspiration when you write a script?
Well, sometimes it's things that are just happening in front of me, people that I get to know, or places that I get to know, or worlds, of places, worlds of activity, that impress you and you start writing about. But the ones that My Own Private Idaho is sort of the one that's completely made up from really just my own associations with people and my own observations. The other ones, like Drugstore Cowboy, is written by James Bogle. It was a novel, and then I adapted the novel into a screenplay. Mala Noche was also a novel, which was the first film, and even Cowgirls Get the Blues was a best-selling novel by Tom Robbins. To Die For was also a novel. So a lot of them were books.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true, like I do have a cache of all these different stories that I haven't done that are sometimes things that I've like written, like my own private Idaho style, like just on my own about worlds of activity.
A lot of these movies have become, so iconic now. And if it, comes down to something like, Good Will Hunting, which obviously you directed, when you're making a film like that, do you ever have an inkling that something, a script can be incredible, the cast can be incredible, everything can be amazing. Like Dead Man's Why, I mean, you can never know until you've made it and it's out, whether or not it's going to sort of chime in with people and people are going to, run with it. And do you ever have an inkling of, how a film's going to be received before
No,
it comes out?
because the most successful film that I've done is Good Will Hunting. And when we were finishing it, it was a really, generous budget. It was 20 million. At the time is more like 40 million, I guess, today. But, having Robin Williams in it, or Stellan Skarsgård, or was great. But I just remember showing it to the press, which was the earliest we were showing it to ourselves. And my friends were saying, like, one friend said, I'd rather watch a movie that's like not told it succinctly in order, that like jumps back and forth in time. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe we should have thought about something like that. I was a little worried about it. My own boyfriend said that the camera was moving so much in Good Will Hunting, it was like annoying. And the press, there was a booker for the David Letterman show who booked the guests that would come on the show, and she watched it with the idea that Matt Damon could go on the David Letterman show when this movie came out. And she watched the movie, and when she exited, the press attaches like take comments from people, and her comment was that she didn't think Matt Damon could carry a movie. So in other words, it was just a waste. And I thought, oh my God, if she's right, we're dead. This is going to be horrible. And
Comments aged like milk.
she was like, yeah, she just like was wrong. So,
Luckily.
You never really know. I mean, I think that you can work your way into like convincing yourself it's going to be a fantastic hit, or you can work your way into like thinking it's going to be a complete failure, and you can't tell until it actually comes out.
And I mean, there's so many films that you've done have been nominated for all kinds of awards, and specifically a lot of, Oscar attention for the actors in those films. Obviously directing and writing are very different disciplines. When you're directing someone like, say, Sean Penn in Milk, or, a performance that's, again, based on a real person, are you the kind of director that kind of lets the actor do, their thing? Do you like to, what is your kind of process as a director?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in Milk, I was just sitting back and letting Sean do his thing, which he really appreciated. And he occasionally would say, like, some compliment, like, you direct like Clint Eastwood, which is like, just leave the guy alone. Because the director can completely get in the middle of their thing and try to push them this way or that, And I think Sean, as a person and as an actor, knows what he wants. He doesn't like need you to like help him figure it out. Sometimes actors want you to help them figure it out. So like I could do that too, but I usually like just I'm casting them so that they will invent things.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I'm trying to do that.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, get early access and exclusive content and episodes, click to join our YouTube channel and become a member now. Please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life in Film Pod. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you. Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. no commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, Betterhelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, BetterHelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeandfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeandfilm. We are sponsored by movieposters.com. Are you a movie fan? I presume you are. Well, at movieposters.com, you can shop for all your favourite posters in one place. The #1 source for high quality, authentic movie posters. From new releases to cult classics and 100% authentic originals. Thinking of having a browse? Well, if you see a poster that tickles your fancy, as a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off with promo code LifeandFilm10. That's promo code LifeandFilm10. So why not give it a go? And back to the show.
Is this on air?
No, but it's being recorded.
Talk to me.
I'm not a rich man. I'm a poor man. And that never bothered me. But these people betrayed me. These people that lure in common folk, give them a taste of the American dream, and then spit them right out.
I hear you, Tony.
I'm a man that's fighting for everything that he owns, sir.
I loved this movie. What an incredible, mad true story for a start. How did you become, aware of this? Was it the original footage? How did it come about?
Somebody just, a producer that was a friend of mine, just sent it to me. He was trying to put it together. He had a financing fund that helped him, and he was ready to shoot. And it was one of those things that was already set up. They didn't have it cast, and they didn't have a director, but everything else was set up.
I guess that's always the fun bit, kind of picking out who you can have in a movie. And do you take, obviously as a casting director, but do you have a lot of say in that? Is that something that you get involved with, and, actors that you kind of sort out for movies like this?
Yeah, we didn't have a casting director. We had a casting director for some of the smaller parts, but the casting was basically myself and Cassian and a couple of other producers that were on board. Partly the leads, Bill Skarsgård and Dacre Montgomery, were ideas that I had, and then the other parts were a cast of supporting characters that were pretty well known, to sort of even out like the like sort of recognizability of the cast, like Al Pacino. But they were people that were like, we would cast and then they would or we would offer to them and then they would say no. So there was a lot of like back and forth with those particular parts, like the DJ that Coleman Domingo played, and Al Pacino's character. There was a couple of other ideas, and they were hard because they were sort of scheduling conflicts or just creative conflicts that made them like drop out after we considered them. Like we would consider somebody and they would say that sounds great, and then then they would get closer to it and realize that they didn't have time or something. So
it doesn't matter what level you're on, it's always a difficulty getting these things to line up, I guess. And you mentioned there's a couple of big names in there, and a couple of them are unrecognizable in this. Carey, it took my brain a good 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, I know that voice. Who is that? And he looks so different in it. It just, after 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God. Some incredible performances.
Yeah, Carey always is my producer's brother. So he came early. He was an early addition to the cast that wasn't going to change, because he was close to the producer. But yeah, he looked quite different. And as a matter of fact, I hadn't seen him except for in films, like in particular The Princess Bride. So I don't remember actually ever physically meeting Carey. until he came to the set, and I just thought, okay, well, this is what he looks like now. And I didn't realize that he had really changed his look until like we were done shooting, and all of a sudden he was back to his old look, and I was like, oh, so you could have looked like that and not like this other character. But he was quite different, yeah.
And although his voice was recognizable, it was very different. His voice was sort of deeper, and he'd done something to it to make it sound very different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And in terms of, you know, a movie like this, you know, when you hear it's made and it's based on a true story, you kind of think, okay, let's see how close this actually is. And I really enjoyed at the end of the film when you get to see a couple of bits at the end and you see the real people, and a couple of moments of comedy in the film, which I thought were put in there for, like, you know, to make it more of a movie and entertainment, were actually things that happened, little moments and little funny things. And that must be a lot of fun when you see footage of something that's obviously a very serious matter, and the people that are going to be portrayed are actual characters, and they have little little sort of mannerisms and funny little moments that you're like, well, we'll put that straight in.
Yeah. No, that was one of the attractions to the story, and we had in the script, the screenwriter had put links that would bring you to the actual voice of Tony, and moments when he called the police and moments when he was on the street. And it was all like, yeah, you couldn't make it up. It was quite odd. And he was had a lot of energy. I don't think he slept for the 4 days that the story took place, and he was antic, and he was funny, and then he was also terrifying at the same time.
Well, it's a brilliant film. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate you letting us all see it early, and because in the UK it's not out here yet. Out of the many incredible actors that you've worked with, and collaborators on film as well, like the crew and cinematographers and everything else, do you have a specific team that you bring along with you on each job now? Have you kind of brought people with you? I noticed in this one there are a few actors that pop up that you've obviously worked with before. Do you like to sort of do that and carry along people that you've worked with over the years?
Yeah, I mean, if there's the part, and if they have time, and if they're not busy, yeah, it's cool to keep going in different projects with the same actors.
I guess you can have a shorthand then. There's kind of already.
Yeah, you already know how you're working and so forth. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do.
And in terms of advice to writers, directors, people out there that are trying to now get their foot in the door, do you have any advice that you'd give to them?
I keep hearing this from other people. Perseverance is really important. Like George Lucas mentioned that, and same with Elon Musk. I just read that it was like, don't give up, like keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's an endurance test, isn't it? I'm an actor myself, and it's though being in the industry at all in any facet it's just you got to keep going and believe in your dreams, I guess, and never give up. And that seems to be a recurring theme for sure on the podcast. Gus, thank you so much, man. I'm a big fan of all your work, and I'm always excited when I see one of your movies is coming out. So really enjoyed this, man. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. All right,
take care, man. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and you want to support us, get early access and exclusive content, all ad-free, click and join the Life in Film YouTube channel and become a member now.
Thank you to our guest Gus and Dominic and the team at 42 West. As always, thank you to our sponsors, movieposters.com and Betterhelp.